Alex, be honest with me. Have you ever opened your laptop on a Monday morning, looked at your task list, and just frozen? 20 things to do, 5 of them marked urgent, and no idea where to start?
Every single Monday of my life. And the worst part? I would usually start with the easiest task, not the most important one. Because the easy task felt good. It felt like progress.
Right. Answering 10 small emails feels productive, but at the end of the day, the big report is still not written, and the deadline is one day closer.
And when you work in a second language, there is an extra problem. It is not enough to know what your priorities are. You have to talk about them. You have to explain to your manager why something has to wait. You have to say no to a colleague without damaging the relationship.
So that is our topic today. Task prioritization. How to decide what comes first when everything feels urgent, and how to talk about it in clear, professional English.
By the end of this episode, you will have a simple framework for choosing your priorities and the exact phrases you need to negotiate them at work. We will show you 2 real conversations, one formal and one more relaxed, and we will break down every important phrase.
Simple, practical language you can use tomorrow morning.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Emily. Welcome to the Business English Podcast.
Let's get into it.
Alex, before we get to the frameworks and the phrases, I want to start with a question. Why is prioritization so hard? On paper, it sounds simple. Do the important things first. Done.
It sounds simple, but here is the truth. Modern work is designed to destroy your priorities. Think about a normal day. You plan to write a report. Then the messages start. A colleague needs a quick answer. A client wants a small change. Your manager forwards you an email with just 3 words. Please handle this.
And every one of those requests feels urgent because it arrives with a notification, a red dot, a sound. Our brains react to what is loud, not to what is important.
Exactly. And there is a name for this trap. Psychologists call it the urgency effect. In studies, people regularly choose small urgent tasks over bigger, more valuable tasks, simply because the urgent ones have a ticking clock.
So we spend the day being busy and we go home feeling exhausted. But the work that actually matters, the work that moves our career forward, never gets done.
I want to give a real example of this because I think everyone will recognize it. Imagine 2 tasks on your Tuesday list. Task 1. Reply to a colleague who asked which room the workshop is in. Task 2. Prepare your part of Thursday's client proposal.
The reply takes 30 seconds and feels urgent because the message is sitting there, unread, judging you. The proposal takes 3 hours and feels quiet. It doesn't ping, it just waits.
And so people answer the ping, then another ping, then a few more, and suddenly it is 4 o'clock and the proposal has not started. Multiply that Tuesday by a year, and you can see how someone can work very hard and still stand in the same place. And here is why this topic is so important for your professional life. Nobody gets promoted for answering emails quickly. People get promoted for results. For finishing the project, closing the deal, delivering the report that changed a decision.
There is a phrase in English that describes this perfectly: to move the needle. Work that moves the needle is work that creates real, visible change. A needle on a dashboard, moving from one number to a better number.
So the key question of this whole episode is, which of my tasks actually move the needle? And what do I do with everything else?
And there is one more reason this matters, especially for our listeners. When your calendar is full, prioritization is not a private decision anymore. It is a conversation. You have to explain your choices to other people.
Right. If you silently decide that a colleague's request can wait and you never tell them, that is not prioritization. That is just a surprise. A bad one.
So today we are really teaching 2 skills at the same time. The thinking skill, how to choose, and the language skill, how to communicate that choice clearly, politely, and confidently.
Because in the workplace, A priority that you cannot explain is not a priority. It is just a secret.
Oh, I like that. Okay, let's get to the thinking part.
Okay, Emily, my task list has 20 items. Where do I start?
You start with the two most useful words in time management: urgent and important. They sound similar, but they are completely different things.
Let's define them. A task is urgent when it has a deadline that is close. It demands attention now. The clock is ticking.
And a task is important when it has real consequences, when it creates value, or when ignoring it creates a serious problem. Importance is about impact, not about time.
And here's the trick. Every task on your list is some combination of these two, which gives us 4 groups. This idea is often called the Eisenhower matrix, named after the American president who supposedly used it.
Group number 1, urgent and important. A client system is down. A report is due at noon. A colleague is blocked and waiting for you. These tasks you do first, today, yourself.
Group number 2, important but not urgent. This is the interesting one. Planning next quarter, learning a new skill, improving a process that wastes an hour every week, building a relationship with a key client.
Nothing explodes if you skip these tasks today, and that is exactly why most people skip them every day for months.
But this group is where careers are built. So the rule for group 2 is schedule it. Give it a real time in your calendar, like a meeting. Protect that time.
Group number 3, urgent but not important. Most notifications live here. Many meetings live here. Somebody needs something from you quickly, but the impact is small.
The rule for group 3 is minimize it, batch it, or delegate it. Batching means collecting similar small tasks and doing them together in one block. For example, answering all messages at 11 and again at 4 instead of every 5 minutes.
And group number 4, not urgent and not important. Scrolling. Reformatting a document nobody will read. Perfecting a slide that was already fine. The rule here is simple. Delete it, or at least admit that it is a break, not work.
So when you look at your 20 tasks, you are really asking 2 questions about each one. Question 1. What happens if this is not done today? If the honest answer is nothing serious, it is not urgent, whatever the red flag in the app says.
And question 2, am I the right person for this task? Because some urgent things are real, but they are not yours. That is where delegation comes in. To delegate, meaning to give a task to someone else, usually with the authority to do it.
One more tool, and this one is my favorite because it is so simple. It is called the Rule of 3. Every morning, before you open your inbox, write down the 3 tasks that would make today a success. Not 10, 3.
And then, first things first. That is a beautiful English expression, by the way. First things first means deal with the most important thing before anything else.
Some people call the hardest version of this eating the frog. Do the biggest, ugliest, most important task first, early in the morning when your energy is high. After that, the rest of the day is easier.
One warning about the rule of 3, because people always ask this. Choosing 3 priorities does not mean you only do 3 things. Emails still get answered. Meetings still happen. It means those 3 things are protected. If the day catches fire, they survive, and everything else negotiates for the leftovers.
And a small language note while we are here, because you will need these words all episode. A deadline is the time by which something must be finished. Your workload is the total amount of work you are responsible for. And when 2 tasks need the same hours, we say they are competing deadlines, competing priorities.
I have 3 deadlines competing for the same 2 days. Say that sentence to any manager in the world, and they will immediately understand the problem.
So, to summarize the framework, sort by urgent and important. Schedule the important quiet work. Batch the small noise. Pick 3 tasks a day and eat the frog first. That is the thinking. But now comes the hard part. Because your priorities will crash into other people's priorities. Your manager has a new urgent request. Your colleague needs a favor. And that, Emily, is a conversation.
It is. So let's listen to one. Time for our first scene.
Here's the situation. James is a project coordinator at a logistics company. He already has a full week, a client presentation on Wednesday, and a quarterly report due Friday. This morning, his manager, Sarah, asked him to also prepare data for an audit by Thursday. James booked a short meeting with her. Listen to how he handles it.
And as you listen, pay attention to two things. First, notice that James never complains and never just says, "I can't." Second, count how many times he offers options instead of problems.
Sarah, thanks for making time. I wanted to align with you on priorities for this week because with the audit data added, I now have 3 major deadlines in the next 4 days.
Okay, I thought the audit request was fairly small.
It might be, but I'd rather check than assume. Right now I have the client presentation on Wednesday, the quarterly report on Friday, and the audit data by Thursday. Realistically, I can deliver 2 of these at full quality. If I take on all 3, something will suffer, and I want to be upfront about that.
I appreciate that. The audit data is non-negotiable, unfortunately. The auditors arrive Thursday afternoon.
Understood. Then my suggestion is this. The audit data and the presentation become my top priorities. For the quarterly report, I see 2 options. Either we move the deadline to Tuesday next week, or I hand the data section to Marco, and I do the final review myself. Which option works better for you?
Marco is quite busy too. And to be fair, the report is mostly internal. Nobody outside the team is waiting for it on Friday. Let's move it to Tuesday. Can you confirm the new date to the finance team?
I'll send them a short note today, copying you, so everyone is on the same page. One more thing. To protect Wednesday's presentation, I'll be offline from 9 to 11 tomorrow, working on it. If anything truly urgent comes up, my phone is on.
That works. Honestly, thank you for raising this today and not on Thursday evening.
That's exactly what I wanted to avoid. Thanks, Sarah. I'll send you the summary after this meeting.
Okay, short conversation, maybe 3 minutes in real life, but full of gold. Let's break it down phrase by phrase.
It starts in the very first sentence. I wanted to align with you on priorities. To align on something means to make sure you both see it the same way. This is a very common phrase in modern offices, and it is a beautiful opener because it says, "This is a shared decision, not my complaint."
Compare that with the version many people use. Sarah, I have too much work. Same situation, completely different message. Too much work sounds like a personal problem. Align on priorities sounds like management.
Then, I'd rather check than assume. Also a great habit sentence. To assume means to believe something without checking. Half of all workplace disasters start with a wrong assumption, so managers love people who check.
Now the key sentence of the whole scene. Realistically, I can deliver 2 of these at full quality. If I take on all 3, something will suffer, and I want to be upfront about that.
There is a lot happening here. First, the word realistically. It signals, I am not being lazy or dramatic, I am being honest about capacity. Capacity is your real, physical ability to do work in the time you have.
Second, to take something on. A phrasal verb meaning to accept a new task or responsibility. I can't take on anything else this week is a sentence worth memorizing.
Third, something will suffer. This makes the trade-off visible. A trade-off is the thing you lose when you choose something else. Time for one task is time taken from another. Weak communicators hide trade-offs. Strong communicators name them.
And fourth, I want to be upfront about that. To be upfront means to be honest and direct, early, before it becomes a problem. Managers hear this word and relax because it means no ugly surprises later.
Then, notice what James does after Sarah says the audit is non-negotiable. By the way, a useful word itself, something that cannot be changed or discussed. He does not argue, he immediately offers a structure. Then, my suggestion is this.
And he gives two options: move the deadline or delegate part of the work to Marco. Then the magic question: which option works better for you?
This question is so powerful. It keeps Sarah in charge, she makes the final call, but the menu was written by James. He shaped the decision without fighting for it.
This is the difference between bringing problems and bringing options. I can't do everything is a problem. I can do A and B, and here are two ways to handle C, is a plan.
Then the follow-through. I'll send them a short note today, copying you, so everyone is on the same page. To be on the same page, an idiom we love, means everyone has the same information and understanding.
And did you catch how he protected his focus time? I'll be offline from 9 to 11 tomorrow. He did not ask for permission in a weak way. He announced a plan, politely, and left space for real emergencies. If anything truly urgent comes up, my phone is on.
That little sentence does a lot of work. It shows he is not hiding, he is focusing. There is a big difference, and good managers know it.
One more thing about tone. Everything James said was calm and neutral. No drama, no guilt, no "I'm so overwhelmed." Just facts, options, and next steps.
Which is worth saying clearly. Being overwhelmed is human. We have all been there. But in a planning meeting, emotional language usually works against you. Save the honest emotional conversation for the right moment. In the negotiation itself, facts and options are your best friends.
So, quick list of phrases to steal from this scene. I wanted to align with you on priorities. Realistically, I can deliver. If I take this on, something else has to move. I want to be upfront about my capacity. My suggestion is this: which option works better for you?
Learn these 6 sentences and you can renegotiate almost any workload in English.
Okay, that was the formal conversation with a manager. But Alex, let's be honest. Most attacks on our priorities do not come from managers. They come from everywhere else. Colleagues, other teams. That one person who always needs just 5 minutes.
Just a quick question, which is never quick and somehow becomes your task.
Exactly. So we need to talk about the hardest micro skill in this whole topic. Saying "not now" without sounding rude and without saying yes to everything.
And let's name the enemy first, the automatic yes. Someone asks for help, and before your brain even starts working, your mouth says, "Sure, no problem." It feels polite in the moment, and it quietly destroys your week.
In English, there is a perfect idiom for the result: to bite off more than you can chew, to accept more than you can actually handle. And another one you will hear constantly in offices: to have a lot on your plate, meaning to have many tasks and responsibilities at the same time.
I'd love to help, but I have a lot on my plate this week. Completely natural, completely professional.
So instead of the automatic yes, we suggest a simple 4-step formula. Step 1, acknowledge the request. Show that you heard it and that it matters. Thanks for thinking of me. I can see this is important for your deadline.
Step 2, be honest about your capacity, short and factual. I'm at full capacity today. I don't have the bandwidth this week. Bandwidth, by the way, is a modern, slightly informal word for mental capacity, borrowed from the internet world.
Step 3, offer an alternative. This is what separates a wall from a door. I could look at it on Thursday. I can't write it, but I can review it. Have you asked Marco? He built that system.
And step 4, agree on the next step so the other person is not left hanging. Send it over and I'll get back to you by 2. Let's check again tomorrow morning.
Acknowledge, capacity, alternative, next step. 4 small sentences, 10 seconds total, and you have protected your day without hurting anyone.
Let's hear the whole formula in one breath so you can feel the rhythm. Thanks for thinking of me. I can see the deadline is close. Today, I'm at full capacity with the client proposal. I could review your draft tomorrow morning, though. Send it over tonight and you'll have my comments by 10. Would that work?
15 seconds. Warm, honest, useful. Nobody in that conversation feels rejected, and your proposal is still safe.
Now, a few phrases we recommend you avoid. First, that's not my job. Even when it is true, it sounds cold and political. Instead, redirect. I think that actually sits with the support team. Let me connect you.
Second, the naked, I'm too busy. On its own, it sounds like, my time matters and yours does not. Busy plus alternative is fine. Busy alone is a small insult.
Third, the fake yes. Saying yes and then delivering late or badly. It feels kind in the moment, but it is the least kind option of all, because the other person plans around your promise.
A clear not now, today is much kinder than a broken yes on Friday.
One more situation before our next scene. What if the request comes from above? Your manager adds task number 11, and you cannot exactly say, I don't have the bandwidth, boss.
Actually, you can, you just dress it differently. You use the James move. Make the trade-off visible and give the decision back. Happy to take this on. To do it well, I'd need to push the report to Monday. Does that work, or should the new task wait?
Notice, no refusal anywhere in that sentence, just a menu. The manager chooses, and whatever they choose, your workload stays realistic.
That single pattern, yes, and here is the trade-off, might be the most valuable sentence structure in this entire episode.
All right, theory done. Let's hear how all of this sounds between colleagues in a much more relaxed conversation.
Here's the setup. Nina and Tom are colleagues on a product team, and they get along really well. It is Tuesday afternoon. Tom is deep in his 3 priorities for the day, when Nina appears at his desk with a smile and a laptop.
A smile and a laptop, the most dangerous combination in any office. Let's listen.
Tom, do you have a second? Tiny favor, I promise.
For you, always a second. What's up?
I'm putting together the slides for tomorrow's customer demo, and the numbers part is a mess. Could you rebuild the charts for me? You're so much faster at this than I am.
Flattery noted. Okay, honest answer. Today, I'm completely swamped. I promised Sarah the audit data by 5, and that has to come first.
I didn't realize you were on the audit too. It's fine. I can figure something out.
Hold on, I'm not saying no. I'm saying not today. What time is the demo tomorrow?
2 o'clock.
Okay, here's what I can do. Send me the file now. Tomorrow morning, I have a free hour at 9, and charts like that usually take me about 40 minutes. You'd have them by 10, 4 hours before the demo. Would that work?
That would completely save me. Are you sure it's not too much?
It's fine. It's in the calendar now, which means it's real. One condition, though. If the audit explodes tonight, I'll message you by 8 tomorrow so you have a plan B. Deal?
Deal. You're the best. I owe you a coffee.
You owe me too. The good ones, from the place downstairs.
Same skills as scene 1, completely different energy. Notice, the structure underneath is identical, but everything is dressed in friendly, casual language.
Let's start with Nina, because her opening is a classic. Do you have a second? Tiny favor, I promise. In offices all over the world, a second means 20 minutes, and tiny means medium or larger.
And Tom's first reply is worth noticing. For you, always a second. What's up? He gives her attention immediately. Listening to a request costs almost nothing. The mistake is not listening. The mistake is auto-accepting.
Then the honesty in full casual style. Today, I'm completely swamped. Swamped, one of the most common informal words for extremely busy. A swamp is wet, muddy ground that is hard to move through, and that is exactly how a bad Tuesday feels.
You will also hear, I'm slammed, I'm buried, or my day is back to back, meaning meeting after meeting with no gaps.
And immediately after swamped, Tom explains why. I promised Sarah the audit data by 5, and that has to come first. He does not just claim to be busy, he shows the priority. A named commitment is very hard to argue with.
Then comes my favorite moment of the scene. Nina starts to retreat. It's fine, I'll figure something out. And Tom stops her. I'm not saying no, I'm saying not today.
That sentence is the whole episode in 9 words. Not a wall, a schedule. The relationship stays warm, the priorities stay intact.
And then, instead of a vague, maybe tomorrow, watch how concrete he gets. He asks for the key fact first. What time is the demo tomorrow? You cannot prioritize without deadlines, so he collects the deadline before promising anything.
And then, here's what I can do. Another golden phrase. It shifts the whole conversation from what is impossible to what is possible. Then, real numbers. A free hour at 9, 40 minutes of work, delivery by 10, 4 hours of safety margin.
Here's what I can do plus specific numbers sounds 10 times more reliable than an enthusiastic, sure, I'll try to find time. Try is a soft word. Calendars are hard words.
Which he says out loud, by the way. It's in the calendar now, which means it's real. That is a small philosophy of time management in one joke. A task without a time slot is a wish.
And then the professional touch that most people forget, the backup plan. If the audit explodes tonight, I'll message you by 8 so you have a plan B.
He is managing risk for her. He is saying, even my promise has conditions, and if the conditions break, you will know early, not at 1 o'clock tomorrow. That is what being reliable actually means. Not never failing, but never surprising.
And the closing. Deal? Deal. I owe you a coffee. Small, warm, human. Favors between colleagues are a real currency, and paying them back, even with coffee, keeps the whole system healthy.
So let's collect the casual phrases from this scene. I'm completely swamped. That has to come first. I'm not saying no, I'm saying not today. Here's what I can do. Would that work? I'll message you by 8 so you have a plan B.
And notice what is not in the scene. No guilt, no long apologies, no 10-minute explanation of how hard his life is. One reason, one alternative, one deal.
Short, warm, and clear. That is the tone to copy.
And here is a small exercise for you, our listener. Pause the episode for a moment and say Tom's key sentence out loud, with your own task in it. I'm swamped with the quarterly report today, but here's what I can do. Your mouth needs to practice these words, not just your eyes.
Because in the real moment, at your desk, with a colleague smiling at you, there is no time to translate. The phrase has to be ready.
Okay, we know the framework, we have the phrases. Last piece. How do you make this a habit, not a one-time trick? Emily, walk us through a simple weekly routine.
It takes 15 minutes, ideally Friday afternoon or Monday morning. Step 1, the brain dump. Write down everything that is sitting in your head. Every task, every promise, every I should really, head empty, list full.
A backlog, as project people call it. The full list of work waiting to be done. Your backlog lives on paper or in an app, not in your memory at 3 in the morning.
Step 2, sort it with the urgent, important questions from earlier. Be brutal. Some tasks will go straight to the trash, and that is a victory, not a failure.
Step 3. Pick the big 3 for the week. the 3 outcomes that would make the week a success. Then, give each one a real block in the calendar, and guard those blocks like meetings with your most important client, because that is what they are, meetings with your own goals.
Step 4. Everything else gets a lane. Small tasks go into 1 or 2 batching blocks. Things that can wait go, officially, on the back burner. To put something on the back burner, lovely idiom, means to postpone it deliberately, like a pot moved to the back of the stove. Still there, just not cooking on full heat.
The word deliberately matters. The back burner is a decision. The floor is an accident. One extra tip inside step 3. Match tasks to your energy, not just to your hours. If your brain is sharpest in the morning, that is where the deep, difficult work goes. Meetings, emails, and routine tasks can live in the afternoon, when a slightly tired brain is still perfectly good enough.
An hour of your best energy is worth 3 hours of your worst. Plan like it. And step 5, maybe the most important for our listeners. Communicate the plan. If a deadline moved, tell the people who depend on it in one short message. Quick update. The report moves to Tuesday. Agreed with Sarah. Shout if that's a problem.
2 sentences. That is the difference between managing your workload and just hoping about it.
All right, let's put it all together. Number 1, urgent is not the same as important. Urgent has a clock. Important has consequences. Sort every task with 2 questions. What happens if this waits? And am I the right person to do it?
Number 2, choose 3 priorities a day and do the biggest one first. First things first, eat the frog, protect the calendar blocks.
Number 3, when the workload is too big, do not suffer silently and do not complain. Align, show the trade-off, offer options, and let the decision maker choose. If I take this on, something else has to move. Which option works better for you?
Number 4, with colleagues, replace the automatic yes with the 4 steps: acknowledge, capacity, alternative, next step. I'm swamped today, but here's what I can do. And remember the golden sentence. I'm not saying no, I'm saying not today.
And number 5, run the 15-minute weekly routine. Brain dump, sort, pick the big 3, batch the small stuff, and communicate every change early.
Vocabulary check, quick round. To prioritize. Capacity. Bandwidth. To take something on. A trade-off. To be upfront. Non-negotiable. To delegate. A backlog. To be swamped.
And the idioms. To move the needle. First things first. To have a lot on your plate. To bite off more than you can chew. To be on the same page. To put something on the back burner.
If even 3 of these phrases make it into your meetings next week, this episode has done its job.
And remember the bigger idea behind all of it. A priority you cannot explain is just a secret. The framework helps you choose. The English helps you be understood.
That's it for today's episode. If it was useful, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, and share it with that one colleague whose task list is a horror movie.
And here is your homework. Tomorrow morning, before you open your inbox, write down your 3 priorities for the day. Just 3. And if someone attacks them, you now know exactly what to say.
I'm not saying no. I'm saying not today.
Perfect. Thank you for spending this time with us.
If this episode was helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us make more episodes like this one.
I'm Emily.
And I'm Alex. Keep learning, keep growing, and we'll see you in the next episode.